Usually you kind of have this pre-planned. Were they maybe expecting that Enigma would be let through, or what's the thought process here, dipping so deep into reserve time?
That's a good question, yeah. I don't have a good answer for you. I mean, other than perhaps, yeah, they just didn't expect Enigma to be banned, but I feel like you almost should, as far as heroes picked, like, a significant number of times. It's probably had some of the most success. It's seeing at 73% over 15 games, so... you know, everybody's looking at Enigma as like a first phase hero these days.
Yeah, absolutely. In the end, I'm dying as well, right? You know, 32 matches, 60% win rate, along with that Shadow Fiend doing pretty well at 62% win rate. And there she is. Yep. The Marcy comes out.
No surprises. I think Marcy's just this. You're never going to feel like your draft's in a bad spot when you first pick a Marcy. And there's nothing that you feel good about picking. Like, okay, they picked Marcy. This is a hero that matches up well. Marcy just picks everyone off.
And the fact that you can scale as a core into the game as well. Like we saw that the Jin-Q Phase Boots BKB build become incredibly popular as you do move away from, you know, position 4 more into a core. As Infamous going to answer this Doom line with a Beastmaster now. Yeah,
I think the answer is more about the tempo here, because Xtreme Gaming, game 1 against Secret, they did this Doom Lion opener, and they built this very greedy, slow-paced draft. I remember, like, kind of watching that game. Secret kind of struggled to kind of beat the clock, where they had to, you know, try and end the game on the first, maybe second Roshan and get a really big lead. Secret actually got a 4 racks advantage and still lost the game. But having these pushing tempo heroes against Doom just always naturally feel good, because there's a lot of pressure, I think, on Doom lineups to, like, you know, farm as quickly as possible, because you're kind of useless until you get your Blink BKB.
Yeah, it's that waiting game. Yeah, sure, you got Devour. Yeah, you can buy Midas. You're still waiting for like 25 minutes in to really hit your mark.
No. So we'll see what Infamous look to pair with it. You know, as far as fast-paced tempo cores go, you're going to imagine Xtreme Gaming going to be banning those out. They've already banned the SF. Now they get their hands onto the TA ban. And it's, you know, I think it's pretty telegraphed what kind of playstyle Infamous want to go for when they pick up this Beastmaster. But conversely, we'll see how greedy Xtreme Gaming want to get. Just because they have the Doom here doesn't mean they have to go for another greedy, like, Terrorblade type draft. It is a decent option against the Beastmaster. I think those illusion kind of carries always match up well against Beast. You know, Beast just doesn't deal well with illusions. Also, those illusion heroes are generally high armor, so good against the physical damage. But there's a lot of different ways Xtreme Gaming can go with their draft, whereas I feel like Infamous have kind of already tipped their hand a little bit.
Yeah, kind of looking towards your Enchers and Chens and things like that, right? The Zoo could start amassing. Even the Lycan still out there as a potential. And I kind of like that this line, you know, potentially could be shifted from, you know, 5 to 4, because it's a hero that can struggle against the Beastmaster and the Boars. Are you looking for Xtreme to pick a carry that maybe counters Beastmaster in the lane?
I think so. I guess it just comes down to, which approach you want to take. Like, there's the fighting carries. Like, if you go back to, I don't know, a few patches ago, teams love to play, like, PA into Beastmaster. You just seem to eat the beast alive. Or you can, you know, that's like the fighting, let's kill you kind of carry. Or you go for the greedy approach, which is like the Terrorblade. Because I don't think Beastmaster has any tools that are really good against TB.
And TB can always, you know, dip into the jungle, level 4 or something. Like, all right, okay, this lane's unplayable.
I'm out of here.
Tempo mid's now being banned as well. Bat and Lina,
Yeah. And even some potential flexibility there. Xtreme Gaming, you mentioned the Edge and the Zoo. I mean, Xtreme Gaming say, we'll get a bit of it ourselves. You're playing in a Beastmaster. This is a hero that pretty much secures that lane, maybe forces Beastmaster into some kind of wild Axis build, which is just generally considered to be worse than the wild Boar build. So, you know, you're kind of in the position where it's like, oh, you get Boar because it's the build you're meant to go, or you go Axis and, you know, it's on a very strong build. So I do like this Ench pick.
So what are your thoughts about Chen into Enchantress? Because I feel like I've seen some pro players consider... Okay, first of all, we used to see Ench as a counter to Chen, right, in the old days. What are your thoughts of that in general?
I think Chen sits in lane a bit more, and I just feel like when you've got Chen Ench, like, they often don't, like, both heroes generally are playing more in their safe lane. So I think the Ench, you know, typically has always had the advantage over the Chen, and I'd say that's still a bit the case, just with the lower cooldown, where Chen has the advantage is just way more team fight presence, like all the heals. You're just more of a beast when it comes to team fighting.
Yeah, that makes sense. Mirana now, though, going to have a way to kill these Ench creeps in the lane at the very least. And what we're expecting, what is this? Wait, hang on. Is this mid Mirana? Or is it 5 Marcy 4 Mirana?
That's a good question. I have no idea. Yeah. Yeah, I'm just like, oh yeah, Beast Mirana, that makes sense. Mirana 4 against Enchant, then like, yeah, where does the Marcy go? If that's the case, you're looking at, I mean, teams were doing a decent amount of 5-position Marcy when the hero first got into captain's mode, but I think most settled on 4-position being the, you know, the ideal role for Marcy, and pretty much, I'd say at least 80%, maybe 90% of Marcy picks nowadays do go 4-position. So it's a bit of a, you know,
question mark.
Yeah. We'll see where it goes.
Yeah, definitely curious to see what happens there. I do have this double pick as well, trying to figure out what they go for. Maybe this pick here, if it's the carry, will give an indication of who we want to go for. Because if it's Marcy 5, you kind of want a ranged carry as well.
Yes. Yeah, we saw like Marcy's with like the TBs and stuff in the safe lane. You're playing in a Doom, so you're thinking like, what are the carries that don't mind getting doomed? Obviously, there's always the Wraith King as the easy go-to answer, but I don't know if you want to be picking a Wraith King here. You don't see the enemy mid or carry, so there's so many heroes that can give Wraith King a bad game. So you may just want to go with something a bit more stable and safe, like a, I don't know, Bloodseeker type hero. But we'll see where they end up.
You could see Affliction or Axel there keeping his eye on the clock as they got right down to the edge. Ember Spirit going to be the one here for Leo style, it looks like.
Yeah, I guess feeling like they need a bit more time to figure out their carry options. I mean, they see the lane matchup, which is where I think picking the mid here and leaving your carry for last is a little odd, just because usually like, okay, you know your lane, it's now you got to pick your hero. But they really want this Ember Spirit.
Yeah, it's been a key hero for Leo Stoll for sure throughout his career. We'll see how it does. And it's a hero that, yes, if you get doomed, he can struggle, but he's a hero with a lot of tools to not get doomed. Remnants and slights to kind of dodge the animation. You see Doom lifting his hands and you're quickly out of there. But Xtreme have another answer for him.
Yeah.
Puck, the solution to the spirits.
Yeah, at least it's a matchup that can go both ways, but I think when you're in Xtreme Gaming shoes, you're like, okay, the only hero on the other side that we're really scared of that can like pop off and, you know, carry this game is Ember Spirit. So let's just get some more control there. Even though the Ember has, you know, good tools against the Puck. I mean, the Ember for a period of time was even being picked up as a mid lane counter matchup because you just go this like sleight of fist spam build and you can kind of harass the Puck out of the lane. I think Puck still farms just fine here, so we'll see how this goes. I think for Xtreme Gaming, I talked about how they had that Doom TB draft. This just seems like a more balanced draft compared to the one they did earlier today. I think they recognize they can't go too greedy against Beastmaster. They see the Mirana Ember come out. There's just so much pace from this Infamous Gaming, and the Mirana pick makes a lot more sense now that we see the Ember, because this is that like roaming 4 position that has when you have a setup in the mid lane, suddenly this Mirana 4 just feels so much stronger.
Yeah, she's got so much setup as well, right? Roar, you've got Dispose, the ability to displace people, and of course jump onto them with that rebound, and then Ember, yeah, with the chains. Getting into these bans though, Monkey gone, so no Parker Monkey King.
Yeah, and I think picking Puck in the mid lane, like just a good way to not get caught out by that, maybe set up into arrow combo quite as much. It's definitely not going to be as reliable. So we'll see where they end up next. I think if you're Xtreme Gaming, you're thinking about picking cores that are somewhat immune to some of these rotations. That's where the Morphling ban comes in. It's been one of the meta carries, and it's a carry that's just very hard to gank and kill. Even with like Beastmaster, Mirana, Ember, there's just a lot of survivability once you get that strength morph off.
And there goes the PA. Final ban for Xtreme. I mean, Parker does have a pretty wide hero pool, even though, you know, his Juggernaut, Monkey King there, the key ones, the Terrorblade now gone as well. He's not afraid to grab like a Sven or something, you know, a hero that can farm quickly, but also be this tanky menace jumping into the team fights.
Yep. Who's it going to be, though? You're up against Doom Puck. Like, it's surely not Wraith King. I mean, this is SA Dota. You know, if this was Beast Coast, this would be Wraith
Troll.
King instantly. Ooh, Troll is interesting. There's so much control to get kited, though.
There he is.
I don't see any great answers. That's where it's like, you need some kind of BKB carry for sure.
You've got 2 seconds left as well, right? It's like right down to the very end, and the Juggernaut I mentioned earlier does finally come in.
It doesn't feel like a great Jug game, but I don't think there was any carry that's going to have a easy time. I mean, you're up against Doom Puck plus Lion. Like, you need a BKB type hero. Jug has built-in BKB. Perhaps that's where they like the Jug, because they can play this tempo game and not rely on like a BKB timing on their carry. But I do feel like, you know, this isn't like the ideal pick for Infamous. They'd much rather have gotten their hands on something like the TA, for example, which got banned out.
So what is this, like an Ursa for Xtreme? They've played that fairly frequently. It doesn't look too bad here.
Yeah, don't mind Ursa. I think the main issue is they have no building taking right now. Like, yeah, that gives them Roche potential, but I think you're very kind of one-dimensional with your draft if you pick Ursa. You're all in on just like killing heroes. You can farm and scale late game, but I think you're generally going to see more of a lineup that wants to be able to take objectives. But you called it. It's Ursa.
It comes out. The other one was like Lone Druid for me is like an option, but when you're playing into raw arrow chains, playing the bear is pretty challenging.
Yeah.
But that would have given like tower damage that you wanted and maybe even Roche as well.
Yep.
Yeah, it always feels like Juggernaut last pick, or I guess it's not last pick, it's the penultimate pick, but it's, hey, he's jack of all trades, master of none. Maybe it's better than master of none, but it's a solid, stable hero nonetheless.
Yeah, I think if you're Xtreme Gaming, you're feeling like, okay, they're going to be under a bit of pressure. They've got this Beastmaster Jug. They don't want to go too much into late game, but at the same time, like they don't have the the scariest like push timing in the mid game. Jug's not like one of those Deso right-clicking heroes that shreds through buildings. He's not the best Roshan carry. He does do it just fine with a Beastmaster, but it does feel like there's some breathing room for Xtreme Gaming to play at their own pace, which could be a pretty fast pace. Ursa, Puck, these are, cores that don't generally want to sit back and farm themselves.
Yeah, they want to fight back. Lion and Enchantress as well, very good at coming out of the laning stage, even like level 3, and actually fighting around runes and guarding the river pretty early on. It's definitely a worry, though. You talked about the pace and the tempo, the Inner Beast, the Healing Ward, the shoving here from Infamous could unsettle Xtreme after that laning stage breaks down and they move towards those early towers. We'll see how it all pans out as we get ourselves into game 1. Elimination series, Parker, as we get into this one. Are you leaning one way or the other? Do you have any favorites?
I mean, based on, the group stage, a bit of a cop-out, but I'd say Xtreme Gaming.
Okay. But game 1 here is the game for Infamous to take?
I mean, this is a good draft from Infamous. I think if you're Infamous, you definitely want to come out, guns blazing, take game 1. For me, all eyes on Paparazzi to stop that. You mentioned, they've got this great push and this ability to, just take tower after tower with Beastmaster or Healing Ward and whatnot. And Puck's a hero that he's their wave clear. He's the one who has to have like a perfect game and cut waves and, do Puck things, which is not easy to do against Ember, Moran, and Marcy.
Yeah, it's definitely not. Got to keep tabs on all that disable coming out of Infamous. And then, of course, that Roshan, XG playing that Radiant side, pretty straightforward for them. When that laning stage does break down, you can kind of give away your safe lane tower if it allows you to get deep wards in the enemy jungle or set up for a Roche take. So they've got ways to mirror the map and actually find opportunities